For years, South Africans have been told the country is facing a water crisis. But President Cyril Ramaphosa says the biggest problem is not lack of water, but it's getting water from the source to people's taps. His newly launched National Water Action Plan aims to tackle aging infrastructure, strengthen municipal governance, and improve accountability. But the question is, will this plan finally deliver reliable water services, or will it become another policy that falls short in as far as implementation is concerned? To unpack what this plan means for the country, we are joined by Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation, David Mahlobo, and independent water expert, Carin Bosman. Let me start with you, Deputy Minister Mahlobo. Give us a sense of this plan and how is it different from any other plan that has been introduced to South Africa?
No, thank you so much, Tabiso, and a very good afternoon to you and my sister Karen and to your viewers. One of the things even experts, they will agree that this plan that has been unveiled by His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, Minister Majordina and ourselves, is a very, very solid plan technically. What is different from this plan and other plans is that for the first time at the highest level of leadership of our country, the President has acknowledged that we do have a water crisis when it comes to water supply and sanitation delivery and reliability. The numbers are there when you look at access to water in terms of rural communities and unserved communities, reliability that is down. The numbers, they don't look so good. They are down at 67% in non-revenue water. Issues of deteriorating water quality. When this plan was made, it has a whole government approach where all the national departments that are sitting in the water committee, whether the Minister of Water, Culture, Finance, Energy, Weather, Environment, were all there together, working with the South African Local Government Association, the premiers, including the engagement with the mayors. President is correct. When it comes to issue of water security, the country is still having a secure water balance in as much as there are localized deficits. And I'm very pleased that now all those big projects, whether it's Lesotho Highlands, whether it's your Glen Williams Dam, whether it's a Tsanini Dam and other dam that needs to be built even here in KZN, they are all back on track, albeit the delay of more than 10 years. Institutionally, we've bring on a new entity called the South African National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency that uses the capability of the balance sheet and the high capability of financing from TCTA. The board is there, is in place. We should be able to ensure that we build more necessary infrastructure. But to deal with the fundamentals in local government, the plan says that one of the biggest issues is to support local government. We know that their delivery model over for some time of Water Services Authority, they gave us some progress, but now they are failing. We are deploying our capable institution, which is the water boards, those that have capacity to help them, the technical team that exists both in government and also the experts that are available to support the government. The second component is the issue of the reforms. If we don't reform the water sector, after the biggest institutional failure of 144 water services authority, while 105 to 107 are struggling. This idea to say use a local business enterprise model or utility model is not something foreign in South Africa. It's not about agentization or privatization. It was once done in Durban. There was once a wastewater treatment concession, and Karen can indicate it happened in the past. It was a very, very good concession that used to give eThekwini the best water system and their blue drops, the green drop status, visitors could visit. Then the issue around the Mpumalanga, you know, we have Isilulumanzi in the areas under Mbombela covered. This is a delivery model we're looking at.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do in the issues of Mfuleni and others, and also bring the private sector on board, because we must understand that we need a whole approach by society to find a solution. Government alone does not have the monopoly of wisdom on these issues.
Let me bring in Carin. Carin, are you convinced about this National Water Action Plan? Do you think that it will bring the required or the needed changes to make sure that South Africans have got access to water, at least those that have been struggling with water running through their taps?
Well, to start off, let me first say congratulations to Deputy Minister David, to Minister Mojadina for actually getting water action on the agenda and identified as a priority by the President. I think that is a great start and that is an excellent achievement. Now, when we come to the actual plan itself, you know, we always use the analogy of we have a big issue in front of us, we have a water crisis, we have to eat the big elephant, and you eat the big elephant one bite at a time. But you don't eat the elephant without cooking it first. And basically your plan is your recipe on how to slaughter and how to cook the elephant so that you can eat the elephant. And then thirdly, you need a village to eat an elephant. You can't eat an elephant all by yourself. So if we look at this plan as the recipe to cook and eat the elephant, I am afraid that there are some missing items and there are some missing aspects that I would have liked to see addressed in it. If we come from a transparency perspective, the plan makes mention of an overarching body, a Watercom, but there's no real transparency of who the members of Watercom is or what their experiences are. And we would really like to see some transparency on that. The other missing items that I went through the plan yesterday is where is the money going to come from and what are the capabilities? Where are we going to find the capabilities? The plan doesn't mention, the plan is quite focused on large-scale urban areas, but doesn't really mention how are we going to deal with rural municipalities, poorer areas. And that's where I think the biggest crux of the issue is, both with regard to water supply and sanitation. What we need is, especially if we look at the funding mechanism of equitable share, there is no mechanism that the plan creates that we can force rural municipalities to use their equitable share for water supply services. There's also a mismatch because the plan is mum on appointing skilled operators and engineers, and without chefs, you won't know how to cook an elephant.
Yeah.
It does address a little bit of the water tanker mafia, but there's a big other side of the coin, and that's the sewage side, and what we refer to as the honeysucker mafia. And then lastly, before I go back to you, Tabiso, it's quite a lot of focus on treatment and treatment facilities and failures. But Green Drop reports tell us that half the country's wastewater doesn't even reach the treatment works. Are we spending too much on treatment and not enough on getting wastewater to the infrastructure?
Okay.
We heard at the big water conference last week that one more point, that a part of the informal sector, because girls doesn't have access to free sanitary products, they use cloths and rags, which clogs up the entire system. And a little bit of money spent on providing free sanitary products to schoolgirls will solve a lot of problems at the infrastructure. So I am impressed on the one side, you got this far, but I think the scientific process, there should be a review, and we can prepare some better plans so that half the elephant doesn't end up not being eaten.
Yeah, well, Deputy Minister, Dr. Bosman raises an issue around an elephant. We know how big that elephant is, but unfortunately, I've got very little time left. Maybe just pick up on one or two issues with the 2 minutes that we've got left in terms of responding to some of the key issues that Dr. Bosman is raising.
Carin is correct. What we need is to actually invite more experts, but don't leave communities behind. In other words, as I say, we don't want to claim to have a monopoly of wisdom on these particular issues. We'll tighten up communication, allow South Africans to come on board. But Carin, in terms of rural communities, you know now, around the 18th of July, we're trying to increase the water mix in terms of groundwater. You could see the decentralized water system that we're trying to look at. We've done 67 of them. We're going to be doing a lot now, so now in August. President actually managed to do that because in other areas, there's no source, but there's no infrastructure. We should be able to do that. When it comes to financing, very clear there is issues of traditional financing. Remember about weeks ago, Tabiso, Minister Godongwane working with ourselves, we supported him. He held back equitable share because creditors like water boards are being owed, and equally so, the issues of ensuring that there's delivery. These are some of the mechanisms around the reforms.
Okay,
But
Minister.
I'm very convinced that at a technical level, Carin will share the plan. Let's have a discussion. It's a very solid plan, but the test is the execution, and there is at least a political willingness at the highest level, and we can be counted on working with all the stakeholders, whether in private sector or public sector, including communities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I hope that discussion after the show will actually happen, and hopefully we'll get feedback. But thank you very much to both our guests, the Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation, David Mahlobo, as well as independent water expert, Dr. Carin